The ROTH Show, brought to you by Ink the Original.
Always a little tough to watch or listen to these things solo on audio or solo on video. It's like Anthony Bourdain going, the beautiful river. And I'm upstairs listening to Sirius XM on the headsets going, ain't no river around here, white boy. So let's walk through it again, because this is gun school. This is every shooting range. This is everywhere I've been shooting. At one point, I just said to myself, I'm going to learn to shoot and, most importantly, neutralize everything that comes in black. This is in partial black. It is clearly a laser pistol. It is meant for nothing more than some kind of target practice and or gun handling. Gun handling is not the same as marksmanship. Marksmanship is hitting a specific target and everything that goes into that. Gun handling is how'd you bring the gun to where you're shooting it? How are you taking it home? Did you carry it in a pocket, a holster, the back of a Jeep, the back of a car? Did you bring an Uzi in a cooler? Oh, don't think I'm fucking around. Yeah, I know you out there. That's right, homie. Do you even know to keep your finger off the trigger? On and on. Everybody knows that all adult males have two completely, specifically, genetically built-in DNA traits. The first being, after the age of 10, we're capable of operating any motor vehicle at complex speeds. We just know that. All we need is the vehicle and the space to do it, and we'll demonstrate that for you. Or after a few drinks or listening to Aerosmith for a little bit. But also, more importantly, all adult males internationally will tell you, perhaps not as articulately, and so what, that's not important. What we all know as adult males is that we're all genetically, scientifically, medically, as a species, engineered to just know instinctively how to handle a handgun. We've seen it on TV, we've seen it on film, we've seen it in movies, maybe we watch Dad or Uncle Daryl play games with it or whatever, and now we know. Or maybe we don't. Virtually everything we described in the cold opening here is something I've seen, missed, been almost hit by, survived, actually helped somebody else survive. It all actually happened. Let's walk through this. I'm holding the gun up straight up. I put my finger on the trigger. You couldn't do anything more crazy, stupid, fucking crazy. But that's what you see, especially all the way up until modern times when somebody said, guys, that's like driving, a car by just holding it in the middle of the thing. Nobody would ever really do that. But you'd be surprised how many times somebody's walking around and doing this, okay? And then they turn their head and they say, and you'll see this on every cop show, like a Charlie's Angels, they're going to turn their head, and what happens when you keep that finger on the trigger and you're sneaking around in your bunny suit in the house and your little head's full of coffee or fear or adrenaline or whatever, and you're going to turn your head and blow your fucking head off. That's why we're real careful about firearms, and that's why we just don't assume that anybody who walks up to the counter is cool. That's why there's background checks, because there's a whole lot of people who are pissed off doing that shit right away. See ya. I go way beyond background checks. You gotta have training. You want to ride a motorcycle around a school fucking district where any of my buddies' kids are? You better have some training. That's right. And as far as, no, I know what I'm doing. And they do what's called the traveling angel, where you turn and you heard something in the backyard, you're holding the muzzle wrong, your finger's on the trigger, and your kid sneaks up on you and tugs on the back of your pajamas and goes, Daddy, and you go, Jesus! And that's who you see next. I stopped going to the shooting range because I got hurt a couple of times. Innocently, uninnocently. Remember the character I demonstrated who's playing games with his own custom loads down in the basement? All right, that's great. But that casing was not meant to take 4 times whatever you just packed into it, okay? Okay, there's a couple rock star groupie jokes mixed into that, and they're really inappropriate when there's a firearm present. The only Japanese I knew for the first 2 tours back in the late 70s was too big, too big. I think it was a compliment, Tom. Doobie. And no, I'm not overdressed, because when that guy's pistol goes off, no shit, what happened is I'm just like sitting there, and all of a sudden in slow motion, boom! 3 times what he packed into that little cylinder as looking for a place to leave right now. And it explodes in shrapnel and pieces of metal and brass and everything else that happens. And I'm sitting here, and remember, I did the funny part in slow motion, and boom, it felt my sunglasses pull, and I had to go get my right eye flushed. And I thought, man, I'm going to be blinded by some character who's playing with rocket fuel in his own basement. Jesus Christ. And that's just civilian shit. Tapping the gun on the bottom while the muzzle's aimed north like Wile E. Coyote size, and going, I don't know, I think it's jammed. He literally, the guy next to me takes it, bounces it on the bottom, and looks away as he bounces, boom! And it just misses the top. Let me see if I can get it to hit my head, right? Like, boom. It makes you uneasy to watch me do this, doesn't it? I'm trying to make a fucking visual point. Boom! That's where the bullet fucking went off, okay? 10, 12 years ago, working as an EMT, somewhere between the Bronx, Brooklyn, Coney Island, I did shifts everywhere. Great summers, great folks I worked with, learned a hell of a lot. We saw the beginnings of what I think is probably still a trend, but 4 or 5 times between 3 or 4 different stations, different precincts, whatever, we saw people being shot 10, 12, 13 times and then crawling to their own vehicle and ringing themselves in on their smartphone. Of course, we're going to reflect on this when it's lunchtime or we're parked waiting on a break or waiting on calls at the 7-Eleven or out on Stillwell Avenue. We used to park over on Stillwell and wait by the Ferris wheel for calls late at night down in Coney. Fella called in 13 shots, 13 9mm bullets. We did the research a little bit later, do the specs. 13 shots. How is that possible that he's going to go and crawl his way back into, I think it was an SUV, and call himself in and still be conscious when first response got there, the EMTs got there, not even advanced life. Here's what it was. And here's what it came to be as part of the pattern. Everybody was watching television, okay? So they're all holding the gun wrong. They're putting their finger on the trigger, and they're all doing this shit. Yo, dog! You like the way I do that, Tom?
I do.
Okay. And they hold it like this. So what happens is this guy had been coming out of a liquor store, the front of a liquor store, and the assailant, as they would call him, had jumped in front of him and went, yo, dog! And started firing. Bam, bam, like so. First guy, the victim, turns and goes, oh, shit! Now, you can't see it. Those bullets are going right into my ass. Bam, bam! Where's the gun aimed? I know, it looked great on New Jack City. It looked great on The Wire. What show did you like it when they hold this gun like this? Any particular police show, Cops, Hill Street, anything? You know,
Law and Order. Always loved Law and Order.
Colors, they held the gun like this.
Colors, they absolutely did, yeah.
You kind of hold it like this, okay? Like it's gonna like that, but where's it going? Bam, bam. Fella gets shot 13 times in the ass, crawls into the head. Now, I'm making an assumption. I wasn't there. I don't know if that was the actual face, but that'd be the actual fucking face I'd be making. And makes his way to the FBI. Yeah, absolutely. And calls himself in where, you know, we show up. You got to work so fast sometimes on multiple wounds like that. We don't even use the gauze that comes in the package, okay? Tear open the package, use the package. It's a sterile adhesive, okay? Hold on one second. I'm going to put this gun in my pocket. Oh, fuck! I'm making some points here, guys. It's dark, but points.
The Roth Show. Brought to you by Ink the Original.